If you're picking up the Lee Sin pre-constructed deck for under $40, you can actually make this a pretty viable deck. In this video, we're going to be going over the cards that we're going to take out of the pre-constructed deck, the cards that we're adding in, and at the end of the video, we're going to talk about the strategies as well as some other substitutions that you can make to the deck if you want to make it a lot stronger, assuming budget isn't a problem. We're going to jump right into it. The legend ability of Lee Sin states that for one energy, and by exhausting this legend, you buff a friendly unit. If it doesn't have a buff, it gets a +1 buff. In Riftbound, you're only able to give a buff to a unit that doesn't have a buff. This game does not allow you to stack buffs unless the card tech specifically states that otherwise. Now, Lee Sin comes with these cards. We have one of the Lee Sin centered, one Udyr Wildman, we have 3 Stalwart Poros, 3 Pit Rookies, 3 Wielders of Water, 3 First Mates, 2 Pack a Club, 3 Wild Claw Shaman, 3 Wizened Elder, 2 Bilgewater Bully, 2 Stormclaw Ursine, 2 Mountain Drake, 2 Charms, 3 Challenge, 3 Discipline, 2 Stand United, 1 Mask of Soresight, 1 Mistfall, and we're running the Monastery of Hirana, Targon's Peak, and Grove of the God Willow. The cards that we are going to get rid of from this deck right away is we're going to get rid of Mask of Foresight, Stand United, Bilgewater Bully, Wild Claw Shaman, Pack a Club, and those are the cards that we're getting rid of. The reason why we're getting rid of these cards is for 3 main reasons. Number 1, the stat line is not good for its effect. Number 2, it doesn't really synergize with the strategy well. And number 3, there are just cards that do what the card wants to do, but better. Let's jump right into it. So we are going to get rid of Mask of Foresight right away. The reason why we get rid of this is this card specifically is only good if you have a unit defending alone. More often than not, we are not going to be doing that because we will be able to have multiple units stack into a battlefield to protect it. We're also going to be getting rid of Stand United. This states buff a friendly unit. Buffs give an additional +1 to a friendly unit this turn. So this is essentially a 3 energy for +2. This is good if you have multiple units on the battlefield with buffs, because those buffs will get an additional +1 might. But if you only have a single unit at battlefield, this is a 3 energy for +2, which is actually really bad for cost efficient, and it also requires a little bit of setup to get going properly. We're getting rid of Bilgewater Bully because it says when I'm buffed, I have ganking. It's a 6 energy for 6 might body. If you want to get its ganking effect, you're going to have to spend another 1 energy to buff the unit, and then it has ganking. But realistically speaking, the stat line for the stats for its ability isn't good enough. A 6/6 that does nothing on the turn that it comes on the board isn't that good. We're also getting rid of Wild Claw Shaman. When you play me, you may spend a buff to buff me and ready me. This would essentially be a 4 energy, 4 might unit with ready. A 4/4 is actually very slow. Even though it comes in ready, the body that it provides is on the weaker side, so it's not very stat efficient for its cost. We're also getting rid of Pack a Club. It's a 3/3, which isn't that good. However, it says hidden, hide now to react for later, so it could be a 1 recycle energy for 3, but for deramping and just having a vanilla 3 might body, it doesn't do enough, but it is good if you want to play mind games with your opponent. These are the cards that we got rid of. So what are the cards that we're going to add into the deck? What we have is we have a single Charm, 3 Defies, 3 Unguards, and 3 Primal Strength. And the Charm's about $2, Defies are $2 each, so it comes to 6. Unguard is about $2 each, so it comes up to 6 as well. Primal Strength is about $7 each, so we're sitting at 21 strength, and we're kind of going them off of eBay prices. Okay, now in total that brings us to about $35, and here's the reason why we added those cards. So we have Unguard. It's a 1 energy card that says give a friendly unit +1 this turn, and then another +1 this turn for might if it's the only unit here. It's a very efficient, very, very efficient spell for 1 energy. You get 2 might. It's super efficient, a lot of value card. That's why we got it. The next card we add is 3 copies of Defy. Defy is very strong. It says counter a spell that costs no more than 4 energy and no more than 1 power. It's just such a flexible card. It gives you a lot of protection for your cards, and you're always going to trade 1-for-1 with this. There's no circumstance where this card does not go 1-for-1. We're adding another copy of Charm because Charm is very versatile, very broken. It's one of the most efficient ways to remove units from your opponent's board. And if you can't remove it, you can also have the flexibility of moving an enemy unit, which is great. We're also adding 3 copies of Primal Strength. Primal Strength is also a very, very strong card. It says give a unit +7 might this turn. The +7 might allows you to get over just about anything. There are very few cards in the game that have 7 might or more. So you're always going to be trading at least 1-for-1 or 2-for-1 with Primal Strength. We've kept the other cards in, so we do have Mountain Drakes and Stormclaw Ursine. So we're going to jump into the strategy a little bit. Lee Sin's whole strategy is to buff a friendly unit and getting extra value through the ability of your legend. It's very good if you have 1 extra energy that you don't know what to use it for. You can use Lee Sin's ability to make it so that your turns are a little bit more efficient. With how we've built this deck, we've kept the majority of the deck as is. We've kept the Discipline, the Pit Rookie, the Stalwart Pearl. The Pit Rookie, Stalwart Pearl are just very good units to have in the beginning of the game to apply early pressure. We also have Wielder of Water as well as First Mate. They're very versatile and flexible in this deck. We have the Wizened Elder for a mid game. This unit works up to be a 5/6 technically. It says while unbuffed you get an additional +1 might. So it's a 5/6. It's not the best stat line, but it's very easy to fulfill in his condition. We also have a single copy of Udyr. Udyr adds a lot of flexibility because he can deal 2 to a unit, stun a unit, ready himself, or give himself ganking this turn. So very flexible card. And for the top end, we're keeping the Stormclaw Ursine for the channel 1 exhausted. And we're also playing 2 copies of Mountain Drake for our end game, just to have really big boards. Now, substitutions and cards that you can make for this deck if budget isn't a problem. If budget isn't really a problem, there are other cards that we can add. You can add copies of Sabotage to be able to get rid of problem cards from your opponent's hand, be it big spells or big gears you want to get rid of before you deal with it. Unyielding Spirit is a card that you can also have in your deck to prevent spell damage and ability damage because there's quite a bit of that in the game. Zonya's Hourglass is perfect for preventing a unit from dying. It's a little bit slow, but it's very useful. However, it's a bit more rare. You also have cards like Windwall, where you can counter any spell. Although this is a little bit more expensive, however, this can protect you from really, really big problematic spells that hit the board that you can't deal with in the game, because there are some pretty big problematic spells that you can use to protect your board with. Other cards that you can consider for your synergies. Other cards that you can consider adding to your deck is you can add Meditation. This allows you to draw cards if you're running low on draw power. Very good draw engine. You can also put Block. Block is actually very efficient. You give a unit shield 3 and tank this turn, which is +3 relative defender. So it allows you to protect your other units, and it's a 2 energy for 3, which isn't too bad, but you can also hide it, so it adds a little bit of flexibility because some people might think you're playing Zonyas for hidden and they would not expect to block instead, which is also pretty useful. Confront, very good card if you really want to play into late game more and have bigger units where you would draw a card but your units also enter ready. Mobilize if you want to play more into the ramp side of things. You can also play Cytheria of Cloudfield. This does say when you play another unit buffs me, it's a 2/2, so it's okay if you want to lean into the buff strategy more, but you have to add more buff synergies. Clockwork Keeper overall is just a really good card. You can pay 1 extra power to draw a card. So if you're running low on tempo, or if you want more early game, you can play Clockwork Keeper. Other cards to consider: Rune Prison, stun a unit, it doesn't deal combat damage this turn. This card is really, really good if your opponent is playing really big units. You can stun them out, and when they move into the battlefield, because they can't attack, they will be recalled to their base because no bad damage is done. Arena Bar can be good value. You could play a single copy of it, since it says you buff an exhausted friendly unit, and your deck does have a little bit of buff synergy. Find Your Center is also a very good ramp card. You're able to draw and channel one exhausted, and it costs 2 less if the opponent is at 5 victory points or 3 points away from winning. So it's also a very good ramp card. It also has Pirate Haven. You could give this when you ready a friendly unit, give it +1 this turn. This is just a free +1 on the beginning of your turn, but most gears are a little bit slow. Other card that you can consider if you want to lean more into the ramp side is Catalyst of Aeons and play bigger units. Dragon's Rage, you can definitely play this. It's very, very strong. Move a enemy unit, then choose another enemy unit at its destination. They deal combat damage equal to their might to each other. Best case scenario, this is a 2-for-1 card. Worst case scenario, this gets rid of 1 unit. However, it's the highest rarity, so kind of more expensive. And the last few cards that you can consider putting into your deck, if you're thinking of doing it, is adding the other Lee Sin, which is Lee Sin Aesthetic. You can exhaust it to buff, which gets a +1 buff, but it says I can have any number of buffs, so Lee Sin can get very, very big. Other cards to consider is Carnivorous Snapvine. When you play me, choose an enemy unit at a battlefield. We deal damage equal to our mites to each other. It's a very strong card for removal, and it's a 6-body unit for 5, so very efficient, however very expensive. And the last few cards that you can consider putting in the deck is Dead Bloom Predator. Very strong. You may play me to an occupied battlefield. This is super strong, but it's going to be a card that's very expensive. White Flame Protector is also very good, and you also have Tasty Fae Folk. You can channel 2 runes exhausted and draw 1 when this card dies. So overall, this deck has a lot of flexibility on how you decide you want to play the deck. If there are any other cards or strategies that you can think of, feel free to put it in the comments section down below. We have a Discord community where we talk about all things Riftbound related, so you can join that. But yeah, those are just a few cards that you can add to the deck to make it stronger. If budget is less of an issue, you can add more copies of the Lee Sin, more copies of the Udyr if you have the budget for it. But realistically speaking though, if you are going to build a Lee Sin deck, it almost feels like you're better off building a Master Yi deck, because Master Yi's legend ability just a little bit stronger. But topic for another time. For now, John Panio signing out. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.